Hello, traders. This is Blake Morrow with Traders Summit. And with me today, I have actually two special guests that have never been on the Traders Summit with me. And that's going to be Leandro from Forex Analytix and Quasar from Pepperstone. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi there, Blake. Pleasure to be here with you. As we were venting earlier, first round out of two. Later, I get to be with you again. But happy
Yes.
to be here on this first one.
Nice to
Hello,
have you here.
everyone. Hello, Blake. Hello, Quasar. Thank you
Hello,
very much
Leandro.
hi. Thank you very much for having me on with you.
You're very welcome, and it's really the pleasure is mine. And I'll tell you, for the listeners at home, I've followed. Well, we can start off with Leandro. Leandro and I work together at the Forex Analytix, but I've known Leandro now for probably about 13 years via social media,
Probably.
maybe 13, 14 years, something like that. And
even more.
That's a friendship right there.
It is. It is. And
let's say the first Twitter accounts in that period of time. That was our time.
Yep, that was our time. And then and Quasar, you know, even though you're newer to social media, I've gotten to know you over the years through Pepperstone, and both of these gentlemen are really good at what they do. Now, I know most of you guys do your shows and your analysis in Spanish. I know it's a second language for both of you, from what I understand. But I'd like for you, and we can start with we'll start with Quasar, just because Quasar, I get to see more of you today, but we'll start with you. Tell traders a little bit about yourself and show us your process in the markets. I want them to understand who you are and how you approach the markets.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, first of all, born and raised in Mexico. Indeed, Spanish is my first language, but yeah, I've been living here in the United States for quite a few years now, and yeah, I mean, I have got to adopt also the language with regards to who I am from a professional standpoint. I've been working for different a couple of the big names within the retail brokerage industry, and yeah, that's what has got me day to day analyzing the markets. And generally speaking, how my process begins with regards to how I'm going to try to assess what could potentially be happening with an instrument, it's from a fundamental standpoint. I'm not the biggest economist in the sense of I know all the dynamics, but I consider myself to be someone that has a good grasp of what is predominantly the main driver behind some price action. So I try to understand, hey, what is it? Is it like we are having, and of course, this is going to depend on each individual asset category, right? I mean, something that may be affecting heavily based on just interest rates might not be the case for other kinds of assets, which, I mean, generally speaking, it tends to have that general impact throughout all the different asset classes. But I try to find that predominant factor that it's the main contributor to the price action behind that. And once that I find out, I try to make a case scenario, and that's kind of like the base, right? I start from there, and once that I have already determined that, I don't know if I can share my screen right now.
Absolutely, you can. Yep.
There it is. It should be coming live to you guys now.
Yep.
Let me know, Blake, if it's already I tend to start just with a blank canvas, and what this allows me to is to not have any pre-existing biases with regards to where I could or where the instrument I think might be going, right? And first of all, the first thing that I do, go back in time the most I can. Why do I do that? Because that in some sort of way provides me a general, I guess it gives me the overall perspective of where the instrument has been in the past and where might it be heading towards to. So let's just, for the sake of an example right here with regards to the euro dollar, I mean, we can clearly see that since the 2000s, the process went straight up, right? And from there on, it started again in a new structure, a new cycle where it actually lasted for over almost a decade and a half, let's just call it that way. And we can see that even though that we have been going up, we're still within a structure that it's predominantly to the downside, right? So that's the first step. right? Once that I already have that, I start, just marking some trend lines that they're gonna help me in some sort of way to, okay, well, we might be having this downside trend channel, and here's the next thing. Okay, how did it interact with this formation? Well, in theory, if we had interacted with the resistance of this, I mean, it's not the cleanest, but I think it just helps with the case of bringing how I try to do my analysis, right? Okay, well, it didn't interact on the last push to the downside with the lower bound of this downward trend channel. So this might be an indication that we might be in a restructuring process where, remember, and this is very important, just because you have a pattern, you have a structure, you have a predominant price action, that doesn't mean that it's gonna be there forever. Patterns change, markets evolve, and you have to adapt, and you have to adapt very quickly to what the market is telling you. Now, having already put this, I mean, what do? Then I go down in time frame. Okay, we already know that we are in a downward channel, and that we fail to interact with the lower band of it. Well, naturally, that set us to look for upside positions, or not upside positions, but an upward trajectory, right? If it's not going down, more likely than not, the other case scenario that could be taking place, it's going up. So then, I mean, from a weekly standpoint, it seems pretty fair that it's a similar structure. And now I start utilizing in a shorter time frame. Okay, what is our points of relevance? Where could we be initially? Let's put it on that. We already have a predominant structure. We go on a shorter time frame, and from there I try to bring the case scenario where we could potentially be going based on that framework, if you will. Once that I already have all this set up, the next step is just to look for the entries that actually provide good risk reward ratio. At the end of the day, all of us are going to have very different technical analysis methods and how we approach the market analysis. But what it's going to be crucial down the road, and what it's going to determine if we are successful in this, is risk reward ratio and how much you leverage your positions. So I try to, if I already have a bias to where it might be going, and it provides a good risk reward ratio, I'll take it. If not, I won't. In this example, okay, it seems that it already interact. We have, from a bigger picture, it seems like we're going to the resistance of this trend channel. I'm sorry. We probably are going to go there. Nonetheless, does it provide me in the current levels a good entry point? I don't think it does at this case scenario. So hence I just wait and then try to evaluate new possible levels where I might be entering. That, in a very overall perspective, Blake, defines how I try to do. One of the other things I tend to use quite a lot is Fibonacci retracement levels, but I'm not gonna be sharing those in this specific video. And that, generally speaking, kind of like tells how I do things.
That makes a lot of sense, Quasar. So let me ask you this: since you're looking at the euro and you started really long term, how often do you go back and kind of reset your charts and kind of go back to scratch to those longer term charts?
I usually try to always start with monthly charts, just because, I mean, that's going to be giving you, realistically, even though there might be other instruments that have more history behind them. Yeah, I think the monthly is going to give you at least a couple of decades worth of, price action, from where you can evaluate better where could we potentially be heading. And this is very important. Just because you have a perspective that something may be happening, it doesn't mean that will happen. You are just building case scenarios where you may be able to actually take something from the market. Always try to see it, or at least that's what I always suggest, right? I mean, we don't have a crystal ball that is going to tell us this is going to happen. We only have possible scenarios, and if those possible scenarios behind them, they have some good risk reward, and from a statistical perspective, value on them, that for the long term that they could add to a system that will generate returns, go for it. But yeah, it's not like a granted thing. So the most important thing will be, if anything, that you guys want to take from my methodology is to always try to look for the case scenarios, the possible entries that provide good risk reward ratio. What does it look like? Probably you are gonna have to look for anything above 2 to 1. So if you risk to lose $10, look for 20.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay, Leandro, tell us a little bit about, and I know as I was explaining earlier, you know, English is not your common language, but in your best ability, how do you look at charts, and what's your best way of analyzing charts? And you can go ahead and take the screen from Quasar if you wanted to show your charts and how you do things.
Let me share my screen better.
Yeah, absolutely. So you might have to exit that Quasar first.
All right.
Yes, I can do that because Quasar is sharing the screen.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah. Let me go now.
We can see your screen. Yes.
Yes. Are you watching my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Well, the first thing, I am in the trading business as a professional way, more or less from 10 or so years ago. So that I decided to manage my own money, my own accounts. I will try to explain because you both guys are native in English. So
hey, you're doing very well.
Quasar, well, Quasar speak English perfect. Well, I will try. I will try to make it as best as possible. Sorry. Well, my trading way is all about risk and reward. This is the first point I want to point as at the first number one. No, is risk and reward. The daily chart for me is all. I am trying to follow the trend that I consider that we have in this daily chart. For instance, euro-US dollar. Here in my computer, in my screen, you have two indicators. The first, simple. I only need a market cycle. It's okay. Market cycle is a market cycle that is the 34 moving average exponential. For me, it's a really good market cycle that when the price is above, I try always to follow the trend. Okay, so my mind is thinking to buy. As now, US dollar is above, I am trying to buy US dollar. Where? In a support, not in every place, in a support. I am looking for a support now. The second indicator that I have is a momentum indicator. This momentum indicator is only for the time that a line, that I have a broken line, okay? So the first thing I need to, when I see the trend, for first time in this case, I see the trend is up. I am maybe here a resistance, but for now is above my market cycle, so the trend is up. So I am looking for my lines because I can say that, or I like to call my trading way as a broken line system with trend and momentum. It's a broken line system. It's simple as that. But now I have to look for what kind of lines. I look for the first pivot. A pivot is a simple candle that has two candles at both sides, minimum of two. For instance, this is a maximum pivot point with two candles below there. Okay, so this is the maximum. The max of the these five candles. So for me, it's a pivot point. A pivot point, I can draw a line with the immediately at the left above. So I have to look for this other pivot point. So I draw my line. This is one of my lines. This line is an effective resistance line. So I can do nothing. I can do nothing except the line is broken. Like now, you can see the white candle that breaks the line. So this line I consider, okay, now the effective line is support. Okay, so the second step in my trading way is to take the Fibonacci retracement. And I always draw at the same way. From the pivot point more close to the candle that is breaking the line, from here, I put 100. So the zero, the zero, the zero, I draw in the most, I don't know how to say in English, the most far,
The furthest away?
Yeah, the first away, pivot point to my line. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. So this is my line started here. So in all the minimum pivot point, the far away is here. So here is the zero. Well, now that I have my Fibo level, I told you my trading way is a risk reward focus trading way. So I have to wait now that the line is broken, is for me a minus or minor support. The most important support is always 78% of Fibo. So I have to wait if the price can retest that kind of support. That if you consider normally, you have on the chart clear points of support and resistance. So this point, and as you can see here, but I cannot buy with the resistance above my head. So the first point is to break the line. It's okay. Now I need to, pardon, sorry, a retracement to the 78. So my stop loss is always at the other side of my market cycle. In this case, 50% of Fibo that is so close to the lower market cycle, as you can see. So this is my risk, or this is my risk just, but only in case euro dollar wants to come to my entry point. If euro dollar goes up without me, okay, no problem. I will wait for a new setup. No problem. I need a retracement always. So this is my risk. My risk to calculate my number of lots, my position, my leverage, all. Okay. So with this in mind, you are always the same risk-reward ratio that 161 is 1.3 in this case, okay? Is 1.3. My entry 78, my stop 50. I have 1.3 in 161. For that reason, I always say my real trading way is only a risk-reward ratio way. Well, I need some technical things to find support, to find or to look for my stop loss, to look for my reward, but at the end is risk and reward.
Well, I think what I pulled from both of your conversations, and Leandro, if you don't mind, you can stop sharing your screen. Yeah. What I think I pulled away from this conversation is basically that everybody's looking at risk reward, and I think that's critical as you trade. And Leandro, you and I have had the pleasure of working. Well, I've had the pleasure. I don't know about you. I've had the pleasure of working with you for the last several years with the Forex Analytix program, and with our group. And what I realize is, like any trader, none of us are perfect. I'm lucky if I'm right half of the time, but it's always the risk reward that puts you ahead of everybody else. And I think that's imperative when you trade. And Quasar, that's what I learned from you too, is you're really focused on risk reward, not only just the longer term trends, but the risk reward as well.
Like, I want to add to that because usually what tends to happen in this industry when people just join or are starting their careers, they focus so much on all the different indicators, methodologies, and all that, and they pay very less attention to actually what, from a statistical standpoint, is going to determine if they're going to be successful. Doesn't matter if you have a risk reward ratio, a positive one, even if you over leverage yourself. And it's so easy at the beginning to, wow, I have all these different techniques, methodologies, indicators, whatsoever. I know it. I have it right. I'm gonna be the next one. And then you over leverage yourself, even though that you're trying to go with positive risk reward ratios, and boom,
Yeah.
puts you out of the game.
Mm.
And I guess ourselves, even though, as Blake said, we're not perfect. We struggle with also like making wrong trades, but what we do try to keep the line on is with our risk reward, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that we can control, and that's what more likely and on the long term is gonna put us in the right trajectory. So yeah, if you are watching this for the first time, pay a lot of attention to risk reward ratio and not over leveraging yourself. I think that's literally the most important thing to do.
I totally agree. Let me say something, please.
Yes, please.
I totally agree, Quasar. The most important thing, in my opinion, all trading ways should be focused on risk reward to find some areas in your chart for your entries, resistance for something to sell, support for something to buy, and your stop and your reward. So you have there your risk and reward. If you don't focus in risk, reward, in my opinion, in the long haul, in the long period of time, you will have a very big problem. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate both of you explaining that to traders, around the globe, because people, I think really, as you say, Quasar and both of you, Leandro, I think most traders, they really focus on how much money can I make, and they don't realize, they don't focus on what's my risk, and that should be question number one whenever anybody's trading. So really quick, I know this has been a predominant English show, and it's the first time and not the last that I'm going to have you here on the Trader Summit. But Quasar, in Spanish, in your own language, what would you like to say to any of your viewers that speak Spanish?
Bueno, yo creo que aquí lo que debemos de arrancar, y como se mencionó en inglés, es un proceso. No crean que esto en una semana lo van a resolver. Van a encontrar información, les va a apoyar desde el punto de vista de cómo operarlo, pero luego también va a haber otros factores que van a ser cruciales de ir aprendiendo. Y por favor, pues no crean que es un sprint, es un maratón, y un maratón muy largo, en el cual pues tienen que no enfocarse en el corto plazo en pegar un home run, sino siempre meterse a la caja de bateo y darle un hit, darle un hit, darle un hit, ¿ok? Puede a veces ser un poquito, y en especial cuando se empieza con cuentas pequeñas, pues digo, quieres meter ese home run que te vaya, o sea, pues, que sea significativo desde un punto de vista monetario, pero muy probablemente ese tipo de pensar te va a poner en posiciones las cuales pues no son del todo adecuadas. Entonces, por favor, esta no es un sprint, es una carrera a muy largo plazo, y tomen sus precauciones y pues vayan aprendiendo, pero aprendan con, con sus debidas, una vez más, precauciones. Leandro.
All right. Gracias. All right, Leandro.
Bueno, pues yo en español me expreso, como ven, muchísimo mejor. Y, y desde mi punto de vista, decirles que control de riesgo es todo y lo más importante. Hay que enfocarse en el día a día, y que mañana existe los mercados. Es decir, el sobreapalancamiento, eso hay que evitarlo totalmente. Hay que hacer operaciones con conocimiento, con un apalancamiento lo más bajo posible, aunque sean cuentas pequeñas, ya las iremos poco a poco creciendo. Y tenemos que mentalizarnos que esto es un tema muy psicológico. Es decir, que al final, si nosotros buscásemos siempre operaciones 1 a 3 o 1 a 5, simplemente decirles que yo, que soy ingeniero, eso tiene esperanza matemática positiva. Es decir, que a lo largo de una secuencia de operaciones que van a salir indudablemente por riesgo, porque nadie tiene la varita mágica y estos son porcentajes y probabilidades. Pues a lo largo de, si vamos perdiendo y no nos hemos sobreapalancado una vez, lo que yo llamo una cesta, algún día llegaremos o en algún momento llegaremos a 1 a 5, a 1 a 5 y a 1 a 5 y ahí, si nos hemos sobreapalancado, retomaremos nuestro dinero y podemos estar en beneficios. Claro, si hacemos un poco lo que no debemos, pues ahí tendremos un problema con el trading y claro, pues ahí está el primer fallo de todos los traders, sobre todo que comienzan.
Voy a añadir algo y en línea con lo que comentó Leandro, porque es bien importante lo que comentó en el aspecto que es matemático estadístico. Recuerden, el trading y las inversiones van a ser un arte y van a ser también una ciencia. ¿Por qué quiero decir un arte? En la primera parte, como vieron, Leandro tiene una manera totalmente diferente, sí, totalmente diferente de él agarrarse en una gráfica y aquí creo que voy a poder hacer, o me está diciendo esto el gráfico. Yo, como vieron, hago un proceso totalmente diferente. Esa es la parte de arte, ¿sí? A lo mejor y Blake él se va a poner con patrones clásicos o va a hacer Elliott Wave o va a hacer patrones armónicos o va a usar, yo no sé. Yo no sé, eso va a depender totalmente de él y va a ser un arte. Él va a configurar múltiples diferentes herramientas las cuales les puede dar un valor predictivo. Eso, un arte. La otra parte que dijo Leandro es ciencia. Si te sobreapalancas más del 3%, a todos les va a pasar que van a tener una racha de 5 o 6 operaciones y si están con 10% en una sola operación, matemáticamente hablando, recuerden que no es lo mismo perder 50% que ganar 50% en una cuenta ya existente. Y eso es la parte, una vez más, de ciencia desde un punto de vista matemático y estadístico. No se les dice no más porque sí, no más de 3%, no más de 3%. ¿Por qué? Porque si se mantiene ese nivel de exposición de una cuenta a largo plazo, como lo mencionó Leandro, te va a permitir que pases por esa racha y sobrevivas. Si estás sobreapalancado, no vas a sobrevivir esa rachita. Y eso es, al final del día, eso es un arte y una ciencia. Ahí ya ustedes, pues, la parte de cómo a lo mejor y quieren utilizar los ciclos lunares, por favor, adelante.
Sí.
Si es que te dan un valor
Punto de entrada
predictivo. Exacto.
interesante, sí.
So, I think what I took away from that is I'm hungry. I actually want to go eat something now. I actually, what I took away from that is, trade your own plan, no matter what strategies you employ. Really, trade your own plan. And gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for being here on the Trader Summit. I really actually enjoyed our time. What's the easiest way for us to follow both of you? Let's start with you, Leandro. Best way to follow you?
Sorry, the best?
On Twitter,
social media.
The best follower or following.
Follow you at Leandro.
¿Cómo te pueden seguir?
Yeah, sorry. Arroba Leanco. Leanco is my Twitter. On Facebook, Leanco Forex. So I am on Facebook. I am on Twitter, over Twitter. So there, in both ways, you can follow me.
Very good. And you, Quasar?
I'm a very simple man. Quasar Elizundia, my name, my last name. You can find me on Twitter. I'm not that active on Facebook or any other social media networks, but yeah, happy to. I mean, usually also one other method, and I actually grabbed this from you, Blake. You are very active on comment or making comments to what the people comment on our YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also try now to reply on those. So probably that's gonna be the two best ways to get in contact with me, through a message on Twitter or just make a comment on the videos that are on Pepperstone Español. Check them out.
Very good. All right, gentlemen. Thank you. Gracias for being here. I appreciate both of you. And
Thank you,
best of luck trading the rest of the week.
Thank you so much and see you later. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you very much. See you.
Hey traders, Blake Morrow here. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also click the bell notifications so you do not miss any of our market-related trading analysis from some of the leading industry experts. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.